Hey guys, welcome back to the garage. We got a fun day planned today. We're going to be working on the front suspension of the 66 Galaxie. So let's get to it. Hey guys, so I want to walk you through what I'm doing and why on this week's video. The basic principle is whoever did the front suspension or the airbag install on my 66 Galaxie, they did a nice job on most of the system, but for some reason on the front specifically, they just put airbags. So for those of you who aren't familiar with air suspensions, you really have a couple of different ways you can do it. One is to do airbags, which is exactly what you think. It's just a rubber bladder that holds air. But when you do that, it's just like having just a spring on a car, and you really need a shock absorber as well. Just imagine driving a car with springs without shock absorbers. You can imagine you hit a bump and it's just bouncy, like riding a roller coaster, which is not good when you're trying to stay straight going down the road, especially when you're going down like an interstate or something. So on the front of my car, they just did airbags. They did not do shocks. And so, I have that exact problem, which is obviously a really big pain. On the rear, they did airbags with their shocks, so it's fine back there. So what I'm going to be doing here is getting rid of the airbags that are in the front and replacing those with an air strut by RideTech. The air strut basically is an airbag that has a shock absorber in the middle, kind of like a coilover spring and strut. And so what that'll do is, I have the shock absorption and the ability to raise and lower the car. So that's the idea of what we're going to be doing in this video, and I'll let you guys see how it's done. I have some air struts that I purchased from RideTech that are made to fit this car. So what I got to do is remove the lower control arm, remove these bags, cut off this cup that they welded to the bottom, and then everything else should go in pretty easily. But we are going to have to work on getting these lower control arms off first, and there's a bit to do for that. So here we go. Alright, we've got everything disconnected now. Well, sorry, almost everything disconnected. Still need to disconnect the bottom of the airbag, and then I have to take off this lower ball joint, which I'm not looking forward to. I'm hoping I can just take off the mounting screws to the ball joint, and that way I don't have to take off the ball joint itself. But let's see if we get this bag disconnected first. Oh, there we go. Perfect. There we go. Alright. Now we got a lower control arm almost out. Just need to take off one more bolt. She should come right out. Woohoo! Got it. Now we have a lower control arm. So here we go. Here is our lower control arm from the 66 Galaxie, which inexplicably has had an airbag cup welded to the bottom. I really have no idea why they did this. It's super stupid. But that means fun time for me, because I get to get out a grinder, hack all this off, clean it up, and put proper air shocks on there. While I'm at it, I'm going to check and see if my local auto parts stores have a new lower ball joint for this guy and try to get that replaced, because this one has seen better days. This process turned out to be a really big pain, so I'm not going to make you guys watch everything. Basically, I took a grinder with a cutoff wheel to it for a while, and that got most of the weld, but I wasn't able to get into some of the corners that, just due to the angle. So then I tried a metal cutoff blade on a Sawzall, and that worked a little bit, but couldn't get everything. So then I tried a hammer and cold chisel, and you name it. I eventually, after like 30 minutes of hacking on this thing, got it off. So we'll just skip to that point. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I got it off. But that was very unfun, and had to mangle the crap out of my lower control arm to get it off. Which means I'm going to have to bend all this back into shape and then do a lot of welding. So yeah, let me work on that. Here's our restored lower control arm. You can see I got it all welded up and repainted. It's not as good as brand new, but it's as close as it's gonna get, and it's definitely as strong as it was. I put a good bit of weld in there. So now I need to mount on the RideTech plates that are provided. I'll show you guys that process. Then we get it in the car, put the new air strut in there, and pretty much done after that, and reconnecting everything. So let's get started. Alright, well that's easy enough. Mounting plates on. Now we need to drill two 5/16 inch holes with the holes that are on here. And that's where the actual shock's going to mount. This kit relocates it inboard. So let me go ahead and do that. Alright, so hopefully you guys can see the two holes we have here. And now we get to put it back in the car, reattach everything, and then we can put the new strut in. Well, before I put it in the car, I wanted to show you guys the difference between the old airbag and the new airbag. They're basically the same size, so I'm hoping that they will have the same amount of up and down travel. Not sure who makes these. It has a logo on here, but I can't really read it. Maybe down here. RE6. Yep, no idea. But this is the new one, obviously, and it has a shock in it. So hopefully my car won't bounce all over the road like it used to with this one. Now let's go ahead and get everything back installed. We'll start by putting the lower control arm in and go from there. I couldn't live with myself putting that old crusty and broken lower ball joint on here, so got a new Moog one, and we're going to install that. Then we just got to put the lower control arm back on and get everything hooked up, and we should be good to test this side, I believe. There was one other small change required here, and you can kind of see it with that gray and orange adapter in the middle of the video. My existing airlines were 3/8 inch, and the new Shockwave air struts that I got are 1/2 inch airline. So I did have to get a flip to connect adapter, and I also had to get some 1/4 inch airline. It's pretty easy, but did want to make you guys aware of it in case you're going through something similar. I guess the Shockwave shocks are pretty standard to a 1/4 inch line.
Alright guys, I think this side is done. I got the airlines plumbed in, we got all the bolts tight, everything's relocated where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to put on the wheel and start on the other side now. Alright guys, she's off jack stands and it looks like it's working. I just, whenever I turn the key on, the front's inflated, which is good. I am going to have to run the recalibration on them to get the height set up properly. Hopefully I have just as much travel with these as I did the previous ones. What I'm going to do now is drop it all the way down in the front and make sure that I have just as much drop. And I did that with a 2x4. I could just almost get a 2x4 under the front cross member when it was all the way laid out. So I'm going to drop it all the way down and check that. Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see here, but that front cross member, whenever I can now put the board fully underneath it, so it looks like I did lose about an inch of drop, which is obviously not ideal. It was fun being able to drop it as low as possible, but I think I'll take having shocks over dropping it on the frame any day of the week. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know, that's just kind of part of the game. So that's pretty much it now. Like I said, I'm gonna get the calibration done and get everything up and running, but otherwise she's good to go. The install was pretty easy. I mean, you know, other than having to get a few adapters and a little bit different line, it wasn't a problem at all. The hardest part was getting the cups that they had welded on there off the lower control arms on, honestly. That was a pain, but that's just something that the previous owner screwed up. So I'm happy with it, honestly, and it'll definitely be nice to have actual shocks. So I'm gonna go give it a test drive, just make sure everything's okay. But that's it for this video. Curious to hear what you guys think about it, so let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.